tonight on First at 9, this Saturday, the 28th of September 2024. Probing the root cause. Auditor General's Department to investigate the fate of missing government vehicles. Revenue declarations. IRD issued notice calling for settlement of income tax dues. Warns action for failure. Deepening ties. Singapore assures to strengthen bilateral relations with Sri Lanka under the presidency of Kumar. Few steps away. Sri Lanka is nearing the conclusion of the debt restructuring program, notes the central bank chief. The next step will be bond exchange.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක. කොහොමද? ඒනං ස්වදේශී ඔරිජිනල් කොහොඹම තමයි.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9 with Ndivari Amuata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us this Saturday evening for the very latest from across Sri Lanka and around the world on your primetime English news service. And here we are with a number of top stories making headlines tonight. Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong and President Tharman Shanmugaratnam expressed their readiness to deepen bilateral ties with Sri Lanka under the new presidency of Kumar. In their congratulatory messages to the newly elected Sri Lankan president, the two Singaporean leaders outlined that both countries, sharing a 54-year-old history of diplomatic relations, collaborate well at multilateral fora. They also added that the relations are underpinned by shared interests in a range of areas.
While highlighting that Singapore and Sri Lanka share a long-standing friendship underpinned by shared interests in a range of areas, including carbon credits and capacity building, Prime Minister of Singapore Lawrence Wong noted that both nations collaborate well at multilateral fora. In his letter to congratulate President Kumar on his election victory, the Singaporean Premier highlighted that he is looking forward to working with the new president to further broaden the relationship as both countries commemorate the 55th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. Meanwhile, Singaporean President Tharman Shanmugaratnam, in his congratulatory message, noted that the victory of President Dissanayaka is a demonstration of the confidence that the Sri Lankan people have in him to lead the country forward. While noting that diplomatic relations between Singapore and Sri Lanka are underpinned by close economic cooperation and people-to-people ties, the Singaporean president expressed his readiness to deepen the bilateral ties which have been old for over 5 decades.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
චන්දුරු සුදේ කාගෙන් මනාපේ සිංහ TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
The Auditor General's Department has received reports indicating that thousands of vehicles belonging to various government institutions, including the Presidential Secretariat, ministries and other departments have gone missing. It is reported that the majority of the missing vehicles belong to the Ministry of Health. Accordingly, the Auditor General's Department has initiated an investigation into this, and Auditor General WPC Wickramaratne revealed that the investigation is being carried out in collaboration with the Department of Motor Traffic. He confirmed that a complete report regarding the missing or misplaced government vehicles will be prepared following the audit. The Inland Revenue Department urged all taxpayers to ensure income tax payments for the assessment year 2023-2024 are made on or before the 30th of September 2024. Issuing notice to taxpayers, the department warned that failure to meet the deadline may result in penalties and interest charges. Penalties and interest imposed for non-payment or late payment of income tax will not be waived or reduced. In addition, the IRD reminds taxpayers to clear all outstanding default taxes on or before the end of October this year. After that date, any outstanding default taxes will be subject to rigorous collections action, including legal proceedings under the Inland Revenue Act. The Inland Revenue Department requests the public to contact 1944 or the nearest IRD regional office for further information. In other developments, President's Counsel Anura Mathagoda has been appointed as the new president of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mathagoda was appointed as president of the bar following the resignation of President's Counsel Kaushalya Navaratne. The Bar Council had unanimously decided to call for the resignation of Navaratne following an inquiry into allegations related to a BASL project funded by Japan International Cooperation Agency relating to the promotion of a transparent and competitive business climate in Sri Lanka. The newly appointed President Anura Mathagoda is a former chairman of the Consumer Affairs Authority. With over 40 years' experience in the legal profession, he served in the Attorney General's Department as a senior state counsel for nearly 20 years. Thereafter, he joined the office of the prosecutor of the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal as a legal advisor in 1994 and served for a period of 10 years. Commenting on the restructuring of commercial debt, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe noted that a bond exchange will take place as a first step of the debt restructuring process once the comparability of treatment in relation to the debt restructuring agreements with the creditors are approved. Addressing media, the central bank chief noted that the former government announced the gradual lift of the import ban on vehicles based on the recommendations of the central bank. He said the recommendations were made based on the existing reserves position. However, any change in decision will be made only if the forecasts change.
අතන්තර මූල්‍ය ආරම්භලත් එක්ක තියෙන වැඩසටහන සනද ඉදිරියට යනවා කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමත් ප්‍රකාශ කරා ජාති ආමතමින් ප්‍රකාශ කිරීමේදී එතකොට සමහරක් අය ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා අර ණය තිරසාරත්ව විශ්ලේෂණයේ DSA කියන එක නැවත සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අලුතෙන් එකඟතා ඇති කරගන්න යනවා කියලා. එතකොට ඒක ප්‍රායෝගිකව කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
ඒ ණය DSA එක හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ තියෙන ටාගට් කියන ඒවා වෙනස් කරනවද නැද්ද සාකච්ඡා කරනවාගේ තීරණය මුදල
The decision to change or continue with the existing debt sustainability analysis lies in the hands of the Ministry of Finance. The central bank will not get involved. The Finance Ministry should decide whether to restructure debt based on the existing DSA or renegotiate a new one. According to my view, the ongoing program is going to end. The President recently highlighted that both the debt restructuring and the third review with the IMF will be concluded as soon as possible. The newly appointed officials of the Ministry of Finance should decide on how to proceed further.
මුදල මතන්සේ අලුත් පත්වෙච්ච ආයතන කතා කරලා තීරණය කරයි.
අධිපතිතුමා දැන් ණය මේ ප්‍රතිවහගත කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් තවදුරටත් කරන්න තියෙන දේවල් මොනවද?
දැනට agreement in principle කියලා මූලික එකගතාවයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
The government has reached agreements in principle with international sovereign bond holders, local bond holders and the China Development Bank. We believe this restructuring is in line with the debt sustainability analysis of the IMF. We are confident that this will not pose any risk. All of their details are published. All of these agreements, including those with the official creditor committee, will be analyzed to assess the comparability of treatment, which is a must. We have to obtain approval for this. Once it is approved, we have to carry out a bond exchange in relation to the international sovereign bonds. We have to appoint a dealer manager for the purpose. We have to submit the necessary documentation containing our proposal in order to invite investors for the bond exchange. With regard to the China Development Bank, agreements are only signed following the conclusion of the entire debt restructuring process. Local banks should also issue new bonds through buying back of the ISBs. The internationally accepted time period for a bond exchange is 6 to 8 weeks. If the government plans to continue with the existing agreement, these are only the remaining measures.
ඒක තමයි ඊළඟ කරන්න තියෙන පියවර. මේ එකඟ වෙච්ච එක ඉදිරියට ගෙනියනවා නම්
පසුගිය රජය විසින් තීරණයක් ගන්න ලැබුවා මැතිවරණ අතරතුරදීම වාහන ආනයන සඳහා සම්පූර්ණ වශයෙන් ලිහිල් කිරීමක් සිදු කරන්න ලැබෙන පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ ඉඳලා මේ තීරණය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න හැකියාවක් තියෙනවද නව රජය යටතේ
මේ තීරණය කරනකොට අපේ නිර්දේශ ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා අපේ තීන සංචිත අනුව අපි
When the government want to lift the ban, we recommended a gradual relaxation by taking our existing reserve levels into account. I do not think that recommendation needs to be amended. We provided our technical analysis, which is based on current account deficit forecasts, the impact on the levels of credit and foreign reserves if more vehicles are imported. The decision to lift the ban can be amended only if there is a change in our forecasts.
නැවතවරක් වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ නැද්ද කියන එක රඳාපවතින ඒ තියෙන අපි ගත්ත උපකල්පන වෙනස් වෙනවා නම්
Former parliamentarian of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna SB Disanayake, who pledged his support to former President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the presidential poll, is of the view that victory is achievable only if both the United National Party and Samagi Jana Balawegaya unite. However, he believes support should be extended to a government of National People's Power to appoint a Prime Minister of its own to rebuild the country. With that, let's take a look at what politicians have to say during the pre-parliamentary election period.
විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉදිරි පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයට සූදානම් වීම තමයි වෙන්නේ මේ වෙනකොට ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ විදිහට අපි පක්ෂ ගණනාවක් එක්කලා සාකච්ඡා කරගෙන යනවා. ඉතින් අවසාන තීන්දුවකට නැවත පැමිණිලා නැහැ. අපි කල්පනා කරගෙන යනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී මුහුණ දුන්නු කණ්ඩායම ආපහු එකට ඉදිරියට එන පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයට මුහුණ දෙනවද? ඊට එහා ගිය පුළුල් සන්දානයක් හදනවද කියන එක තවම සාකච්ඡා මට්ටමේ තමයි තියෙන්නේ. මේ කණ්ඩායමේ පොහොට්ටුවක් ඇතුළත් වෙනවද? නෑ පොහොට්ටුව කිසිසේත්ම සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මං හිතන්නේ මැතිවරණයෙන් පොහොට්ටුව තියන්න ඕන තැන ජනතාව තියලා තියෙනවා.
ඔබතුමා කියන විදිහට අපිට එක മന്ത്രി ධූරයක් විතරයි මේ ප්‍රතිඵලයෙන් තියෙන්නේ. අපි මැතිවරණයේදී තව ගුණයකින් වැඩි කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය වැඩපිළිවෙල ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
රනිල් පිලයි සජිත් පිලයි සේරම එකට එකතු කරගන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබ්බනම් ඉතින් ඒ ජයග්‍රහණය පිළිබඳ එහෙම හිතන්න ඉඩකඩක් තිබ්බා. ඉතින් බලන්න ඕන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට තේරෙන മന്ത്രിවරුන්ගේ බහුතරයකින් අපිට අගමැතිවරයෙක් පත් කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. හැබැයි ඊට වඩා හොඳයි ජාතික ජනබලවේගයට අගමැතිවරයෙක් පත් කරගෙන මේ ආණ්ඩු කරගෙන යන්න මේ උදව් කරන එක. ඔහුගේ දාර්ශනික පසුබිම ගත්තම මට හිතෙන්නේ ලංකාව නැගිටවන්න ඔහුන්ට ඉඩකඩ හොඳටම තියෙනවා කියලා මට හිතෙනවා. හින්දා අපි කාගේ යුතුයකම එයාට උදව් කරනවා.
අපි අවුරුදු දෙකමාරක් ඇතුළත ජනතාවගේ පැත්තෙන් ලොකු ජයග්‍රහණයක් අපි ලබලා තියෙනවා. දේශපාලනික වශයෙන් ජනතාවගේ තීන්දුව වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ලක්ෂ දෙකමාරක් තුනක් ගත්තු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අද අනාගතයේ වෙනුවෙන් දැක්මක් තියෙන නායකයා එතුමා කියන එක ලක්ෂ 22ක් ජනතාව තීන්දුව කළා තියෙනවා. 22 ලක්ෂයක ඡන්ද අපරාධේ ගඟට කැපපු මිනිහ හා සමානයි. එනයි 22 ලක්ෂයේ ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණය ඊළඟ මහමැතිවරණය තුල කොතනටද යන්න ඕනි කාටද යන්න ඕනි ඒ බුද්ධිමත් තීන්දුව අරගෙන ඉවරයි. එකතු වීමට අවශ්‍ය ශක්තිය දෙන්න නම් අපි කියන්නේ මේ වෙලාවේ මේ මොහොතේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාට ලබා දිය යුතුයි. විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ කාර්යභාරය අසමත්. ඒ කියන්නේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයට එහා ගිය 103ක් තිබුණු කණ්ඩායමක් විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයත් පහු කරමින් විධායක ජනාධිපති ධූරය සඳහා ගමන් කළා තිබෙනවා. අසමත් කණ්ඩායමක් සමග කොහොමද නව දේශපාලන සංස්කෘතිය ක්‍රියා කරන්න කියලා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා හමුවේ ඒ අභියෝගය තියෙනවා.
අපි හැමදෙස්සම කියන්නේ එකතු කරගෙන ඔක්කොම ගන්න කියලා. මම දන්නේ වෙනවද නැද්ද කියන එක තාම කියන්න කල්මදී. තාම විශ්වාස කරනවා වෙයි කියලා. එහෙම එකතු වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් නම් ඡන්ද ඉල්ලන්නේ නැහැ.
A renowned figure in national politics, former Minister Kumar Welgama passed away at the age of 74 this morning while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo. Elected to Parliament in 1994, Kumar Welgama represented the Kaluthara district as an undefeated Member of Parliament for 30 consecutive years until his passing.
Born on the 5th of April 1950, Kumar Welgama was a former Member of Parliament representing the Samagi Jana Balawegaya from the Kaluthara district. He was elected to Parliament in 1994 as a member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and held several ministerial portfolios throughout his career. He served as chief organizer for the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in the Agalawatha electorate between 1984 and 2000. Welgama also served as Minister of Industrial Development from 2007 to 2010 and Minister of Transport from 2010 to early 2015 in the governments led by the SLFP. Since 2020, he has been the leader of the New Lanka Freedom Party and contested elections with the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. Welgama was a member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party until 2019 when he defected from the party after it supported the presidential candidacy of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, paving the way for the return of the Rajapaksa family. He supported UNP candidate Sajith Premadasa instead and found a new party named New Lanka Freedom Party, which joined the Samagi Jana Balawegaya alliance led by Sajith Premadasa to run for the 2020 parliamentary election. The Sri Lankan politician passed away this morning while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo.
The Department of Meteorology says rainfall can be expected over most parts of the island today. In a statement, the department said heavy rainfall of about 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the central, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in Kaluthara, Gaul and Mathura districts. Meanwhile, the Met Department has also issued an advisory for severe lightning for several provinces. Rainfall with severe lightning is likely to occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamu, southern, central, Uva and northwestern provinces and in the Anuradhapura district. Also in news tonight, a 7-member committee has been appointed by the Ministry of Education to decide whether to hold this year's Grade 5 scholarship examination again or to not hold it again. The development follows allegations of leakage of several questions in the scholarship examination paper earlier. With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
The Ministry of Education has taken steps to appoint a 7-member committee to decide whether or not to reconduct this year's Grade 5 scholarship examination. The measure follows the advice of new Prime Minister Dr. Harani Amarasuriya, who is also the Minister of Education. Secretary to the Education Ministry Tilaka Jayasundara said the committee will take the decision after considering the outcome of investigations launched by the Examination Department and the Criminal Investigation Department. Meanwhile, the Negombo Division Criminal Investigation Bureau arrested a 38-year-old when attempting to sell 5 elephant pearls. According to the police, the elephant pearls are valued approximately 12 million rupees. The suspect, identified as a resident of Gelio area, was handed over to the Negombo police station for legal proceedings. In other local news, Sri Lanka Navy has seized 3 Indian fishing boats and arrested 37 Indian fishermen while poaching in Sri Lankan waters. The recently seized boats, together with the fishermen, were taken to the Kankasanthre harbour and handed over to the Mailadi Fisheries Inspector for legal proceedings.
Star dishwasher Dali Hell Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Welcome back. The 74th edition of Derana Medical Clinic series for the early detection of kidney disease was held today. The clinic was held at the Maligavila Rajamahavihara in Monaragala. During today's session, patients suffering from kidney disease were identified and directed for medical care. Along with medical clinics, the Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society carried out eye examinations and provided free spectacles at the clinic. The medical clinics are carried out by Derana in partnership with Leeson's Hospital, the International Institute of Health Sciences, Cipla Education and Aqua Life Waters. In addition, sports equipment were distributed among children of rural schools. Taking you to corporate news, Sri Lankan Airlines has won the Visitors' Choice Awards at the South Asian Travel Awards 2024, becoming the top international airline in South Asia for a second year in a row. Meanwhile, Sampath Bank commenced restoration of yet another neglected and damaged irrigation tank under the bank's flagship sustainability initiative, carried out with the assistance of Mahaweli Authority of Sri Lanka. With that, here's a look at more corporate affairs in brief.
Sri Lankan Airlines was once again recognized as the leading international airline in South Asia under the Visitors' Choice Awards category at the South Asian Travel Awards 2024, making its second consecutive win in the category. This award emphasizes the airline's position as a dominant force in South Asia's aviation sector with an excellent track record for hospitality and service. SATA is an annual event celebrating the best of South Asia's hospitality and travel industries, where winners are determined based on votes from both industry professionals and passengers. Meanwhile, Sampath Bank announced the commencement of the restoration of the 25th irrigation tank under the bank's flagship sustainability initiative, the Vavata Jeevayak Tank Restoration Program, with technical support of Mahaweli Authority of Sri Lanka recently. Commence of work was marked with a groundbreaking ceremony at Aranagangwila, covering the restoration of 3 tanks, the Mangala Vava, Samanala Vava and Magampura Vava. The restoration of the 38.7 acres of irrigation tanks is earmarked to benefit 352 farming families, paving access to clean water. In other corporate news, Haley's PLC claimed the top spot in the 31st annual edition of the LMD 100 listed company rankings for the financial year 2023 to 2024. With a consolidated revenue in excess of 436 billion rupees, the public listed conglomerate secured the top spot for a 9th time. Haley's chairman and chief executive Mohan Panditage said the achievement underscores the group's resilience and adaptability, creating value for diverse stakeholders amid a challenging environment of economic revival.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. We'll see you again tomorrow with the very latest. I'm Indiveri Amwatha. Good night.